Tonight, for the very first time, we are hearing from a man who says he is O.J. Simpson's best friend. Charlie Ehrlich is the man who O.J. asked to pretend to be a sports buyer and go into the room at the Pal Station here in Las Vegas, and that was the beginning of a criminal case that landed O.J. Simpson behind bars.
It has been 8 years, but Ehrlich says now is the time for you to hear his story because he hopes it'll help get his friend out of prison. He's only speaking to Fox 5's Cindy Lundeberg. She joins us now live in the studio with this exclusive interview. Cindy.
So out of every single person that was involved in that 2007 armed robbery at the Palace Station, Charlie Ehrlich is the only person that has never talked to the media, never spoken publicly about this. Ehrlich says he's had book offers, TV offers, but he didn't want to profit from his friend's downfall. But after weeks of talking to him, he agreed to tell us his version of events.
911 emergency.
Yeah, we were just robbed at gunpoint by O.J. Simpson.
That is the frantic 911 call made from the Palace Station on September 13th, 2007, after an armed robbery and kidnapping involving O.J. Simpson. Surveillance video shows Charlie Ehrlich was there. Ehrlich says he remembers two men he'd never seen before pulling out guns. Until now, Ehrlich has never shared his story.
Takes the gun out, and he doesn't flash it around, but he takes it where you could see it.
Ehrlich calls O.J. his best friend, and at the time of the now infamous armed robbery, the two were in Las Vegas for a friend's wedding. Ehrlich says there were guys in town selling O.J.'s stolen stuff. O.J. had found out about the items from a man named Thomas Riccio. Riccio secretly recorded O.J. before, during, and after the robbery. This is one of those recordings.
There's a guy selling him stuff, blah, 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 blah. And once he told me, I said, man, he stole it. I'm coming to get my shit back.
O.J.'s very loud. So there must have been 25, 30 people at the bar, which is not a big secret. And I want you to portray as a buyer. And just let me know if this guy Riccio's telling me the truth.
The plan, according to Ehrlich, was for him and O.J.'s friend Charles Cashmore to go into the hotel room to see the belongings and report back. O.J. was never supposed to come inside the hotel.
I look down the hall, and I see O.J., these two black guys that I never met before.
It may have been more than 8 years ago, but Ehrlich says it's still crystal clear in his memory. Riccio came down, then took them all up in the elevator to the room where O.J.'s stuff was. And the next thing anyone knew, Ehrlich admits he has no idea what prompted O.J. to change his mind and come into the hotel. But O.J.'s former manager, Norman Pardo, says someone let O.J. know that in that room were some of his most prized pictures that had been missing for years.
It's one of the pictures of his daughter that passed away. She was only 2 in a swimming pool. The only pictures he had, and they had the pictures. They took the pictures from her.
These are family photos. These are photos of Mr. Simpson's deceased child.
We asked Ehrlich what was taken from the room. He said photos and footballs. From the robbery, the two went back to O.J.'s suite at the Palms.
And he goes and he slumps over like this. He goes, I'm going to need a lawyer. I up.
Put that down.
The two men who O.J. came into the hotel with that were armed with the guns were sentenced to probation. Thomas Riccio, who set up the exchange and recorded the entire event, wasn't charged and sold the audio recordings for nearly $200,000.
Riccio, the orchestrator, he's the guy who should be in jail. He's the one that set everything up, and he ruined everyone's life. Everyone's life.
Verdict. We, the jury, in the above entitled case, find the defendant, Orenthal James Simpson, as follows. Count 1, conspiracy to commit a crime. Guilty. Count 2, conspiracy to commit kidnapping. Guilty. Count 3, conspiracy to commit robbery. Guilty. Count 4, burglary while in possession of a deadly weapon. Guilty of burglary while in possession of a deadly weapon.
O.J. was sentenced to 33 years in prison for armed robbery and kidnapping.
If you looked at his face when right before sentencing, and he said, Your Honor, I'm sorry, I messed up. I saw for the first time that he was scared.
Thomas Riccio, the guy who secretly recorded everything. We did try to reach out to him, but were unsuccessful. I also wrote O.J. Simpson in prison, but I did not hear back. We did talk to Charlie Ehrlich about O.J.'s upcoming parole, and he tells us about the night he confronted his best friend about the murders of Ron and Nicole, and we will have that portion of the story tomorrow at 10.
Wow.
All right.
So he plans on testifying at Simpson's parole hearing then next year?
Yeah, he told me he has not been back to Las Vegas since this all happened, but he said he is willing to do anything and everything, including testify, if that will help get him out of prison.
And you traveled for this story.
Yes, so we went to Miami. Both the people I talked to, Norman Pardo, his former manager, and Charlie Ehrlich, they both say they refused to come to Las Vegas, or they did refuse, so we traveled down to Florida to talk to them, because Las Vegas kind of left a bad taste in their mouth.
All right. Looking forward to part 2 of your story.
Yes, tomorrow.
Thanks, Cindy.
O.J. Simpson is currently serving out his sentence for the armed robbery and kidnapping at the Palace Station in the Lovelock Correctional Center in Lovelock, Nevada. That's about 7 hours from Las Vegas. We put the audio that was secretly recorded of O.J. during the crime on our website, fox5vegas.com, so you can take a listen.